Good morning, students. Welcome to the virtual lectures of our classrooms. Today we will be discussing it about the adsorption, emission and hydrogen spectrum. It's going to be one of the important topic as per the point for the numericals. Okay, now what is adsorption, emission, that we want to discuss it. Now for that, the adsorption emission that is indicated to us in the form of, for the hydrogen, first adsorption and emission spectrum, right? Now what is adsorption? Adsorption means you are having it as in some electrons, they gain energy. This electron used to gain energy. This electron, when it gains energy from the lower level, it goes to the higher level. It's a lower energy level. So by gaining the energy, the electron from the ground state goes to the higher energy level. This process is known as adsorption. Now, these electrons, by gaining the energy, they can't remain over there for the longer duration. Any of the component, even anything in our daily life also, we can say that whenever they gain energy, they can't remain it for the longer time in that same energy. They immediately release the energy and get back to the ground state. While releasing the energy, they give out the energy. So it is known as emission. So gaining of energy from the lower level to and moving to the higher level is known as adsorption. Losing of the energy from the higher level and getting back to the lower level energy is considered to be as an emission. Particularly for this, we use it as the lower energy level. We will specifically use the word as ground state. And when we are having it as an higher energy level, we will use the word as so gaining of energy, adsorption, or moving from ground state to excited state. Similarly, moving from higher energy to lower energy, that means moving from excited state to ground state, energy is released and the process is termed as emission. Okay, this is a particular process that was being studied by using an hydrogen spectrum or hydrogen atom. Now what was it? So for that case, first of all we will understand what is the case that wanted to be studied by using the hydrogen atom. While going it for the hydrogen spectrum, a discharging tube was being taken. This is discharged tube where electrodes are placed with the different potentials. Then next to it there was a lens, a beam of hydrogen atom. Is allowed it to pass through lens. Once this passes through the lens, they fall onto the prism. They fall onto the prism, and from the prism they come out in the form of lines. While they fall onto the photographic plate, they fall it in the form of lines. You can see that I have not plotted the identical lines. We are having it as a difference in it. These were very thin, thicker line, dotted lines, a distance between the two lines are different. The reason was, onto the photographic plate, we got it as a lines. So this particular hydrogen spectrum was being created. Again, how is what been created? Hydrogen atom in the form of gas was filled in it. The condition for it: high voltage, low pressure. The condition in the discharge tube was of high voltage, low pressure. That means when these atoms are placed in it, they do not come closer to one another because pressure is low. If they come closer to one another, they will react and get converted into molecules. So it was necessary that they should be allowed to remain at a distance. So pressure was kept low. At the same time, by chance also, if some atoms come closer to one another, then what will happen? Because of high voltage, the bond which would be created, the force of attraction that would be created between it would be broken out, so that the molecules remains away from each other. So it produces hydrogen atom in the form of gases. These hydrogen atoms were allowed to fall or come out from the discharging tube onto the lens in a form of beam of hydrogen atoms. Beam of hydrogen atom means continuously a hydrogen atom without any break, but one by one, without any break, in a form of a beam. Or you can say it that like a light rays which are coming it continuously in a single ray. They come on it, they fall onto the lens, then onto the prism, and they got separated in the form of lines. So these hydrogen spectrum was also considered as line spectrum. It was also considered as line spectrum because onto the photographic plate we got it as in lines. So we termed it as line spectrum. Except hydrogen, you can use it as a single electron containing atoms. Single electron containing atoms or ions shows this type of spectrum. As a result, they are also termed as atomic spectrum. They were also termed as atomic spectrum. So hydrogen spectrum or line spectrum or atomic spectrum, it's a one and the same. Only the difference is on the basis of the lines. So it is termed as line spectrum. It can be used for single electron containing atoms. You can give it as an example slide. H, it's an atom, but in place of that we can also write it as He plus or Li plus 2. It's an applicable for it. So these are the ions. We can also term them as atomic spectrum. Specifically for the hydrogen, so it was termed as hydrogen spectrum. Okay, now the question arises that how can we identify these lines? So different scientists, they were named as Lyman, Balmer, Paschen, Brackett and Pfund. But all the names we will write it, or we will discuss each of them, but by these scientists, they gave out the certain rules, or they gave out the formula how many number of lines will be obtained. Specifically, like if I give you an example, Lyman series, it is having, suppose if I consider this as a first as a Lyman series, then it should contain 6 lines in it. Now how that was been obtained? So for that case, they gave out the formula to explain or to find out it. The formula that was been given, it was nu bar is equals to 109,667 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square. They gave out the formula where nu bar is wave numbers, n1 is initial energy or ground state energy, n2 is final energy or excited state energy. So by using this formula, suppose we get it as an starting from first energy level, electron goes to the higher energy level. So at that time we will consider that n is 1. We know it that there are some integral numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to infinite, right? They were also considered as energy levels, or the detail of it. We will be having it in some other lectures when we will be studying the quantum numbers. But one of the factor is there. That means we will be getting it as from first energy level to second energy level, third energy level, fourth energy level. So like that, the electron can go from one energy level to the another. Or we can say that if I plot it as a certain lines, if I put it here, n equals to 1, this is n equals to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, up to infinite. You can have it up to infinite. Then in that case what will happen? Electron will absorb energy, goes to the excited state, right? Here we say that it starts from n equals to 1 to 2 and then get back to the ground state. It can go from n equals to 1 to 3 and get back to the ground state. 4, 5, 6, 7. We got it as this lines as Lyman series. That means we got it here, n is equals to 1 to n1, that is 1, n2, that is 2, 3, 4, up to infinite, right? Similarly, we can go get that electron maybe in the second state, second energy level. From there it can go to 2 to 3, 2 to 4, 2 to 5, 2 to 6. This was considered as Balmer series. N1 will be 2, N2 will be 3, 4, 5 up to infinite. That was for the Balmer series. Similarly, you will get it as maybe from 3 to 4, 3 to 5, 3 to 6, 3 to 7. This we will consider it as Paschen series, where N1 was 3 and N2 was 4, 5, 6 and on. They make it sure that what we are doing it is from whichever the level it starts, it comes back to the same ground level. It started from 2, so it came back up to 2 only. They cannot come up to the ground state of 1. So for the Balmer series, N1 will be always 2. For the Balmer series, for the Paschen series, N1 will be always 3. For the bracket, your N1 will be always 4. And the last one, right? So particularly a ground state level for each of them are fixed. For Lyman series, ground state will be always N1 will be 1, Balmer N1 will be 2, Paschen N1 will be 3. This I want to remember. The reason is in the numericals when they will say it for the Balmer series, the electron is excited up to 7th level. So what you will have to take it N1, that is fixed 2, right? Okay, so the name of the series you have to remember it in the sequence also. Lyman, Balmer, Paschen, bracket and Pfund in a sequence. You can't remember them in an alternate forms also, or you can't change the order. It is compulsory to put the order in it, right? So once the Lyman, Balmer, Paschen, bracket, Pfund series were studied in this way, they also founded it what is the wavelength of these series is, because while doing it they also wanted to know it that what will be the wavelength. So for that case they founded it that Lyman series that was specifically obtained in UV region. The wavelength of the Lyman series was that much, that it was obtained in the UV region. For Balmer series they got it is in the visible region. So in your textbook if you will see it, you will see that for the Balmer series the colors are shown, while for the rest of them the magenta color is been indicated, no specific colors. For this you will be getting it as a different colors shown in it, because it is in the visible region. That means we can see it, the specific colors depending upon the wavelength. All the three of them, they were obtained in IR region, that is infrared region. All these series were obtained in the infrared region. So using this equation we can find out that what are the number of possible lines that will be obtained for any specific series, right? That was for the hydrogen spectrum. But still, after the study of this scientist, the scientists were not been enoughly satisfied. They wanted to go it even in the more detail, and the detail was being done by the some other scientist. Like we will be having it as an Rydberg, who studied for it. We will be also having it as an Bohr's atomic model, which is going to be as an one of the starting point for the structure of atom, right? So by studying this, the Bohr, he gave out some postulates. So what were the Bohr's theory that was being indicated by him? So our next point that we are having it is the postulates of the Bohr's theory. Postulates means what were his assumptions, what did he thought it while giving the structure of hydrogen atom or for the other atoms. So he told that according to Bohr's theory, for hydrogen atom, he told it, in his first postulate, electrons revolve around the nucleus in a fixed stationary orbit. What does it mean? When the electron, the nucleus is there, we consider it as nucleus. The electron will revolve around the nucleus in a fixed stationary orbit. This is a fixed stationary orbit, right? So electron will revolve over here only. Now we know it that electron, it's a having it as an kinetic energy. It is revolving means it is having some kinetic energy. So somewhere the energy transfer should take place, but it was told that these electrons do not change their kinetic energy. They do not change their even energy also, maybe in the form of any other format like kind of potential energy or any. Because if they would have changed, the kinetic energy would have brought this electron inside the nucleus. But that is not possible. Electron remains in the fixed orbit, and that's the reason why the word is used, stationary orbit. Then because of it, they also told it, the Bohr also told it, that angular momentum of these electrons was also constant, which was calculated as mvr is equals to nh upon 2 pi, where m is mass of electron, velocity of electron, radius. Now this is fixed, and we know it that it's some integral number. N will be 1, 2, 3, 4 up to any infinite. So it's a constant number. H, it's a Planck's constant, 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34 joule second. It's a constant. 2 is constant. Pi is 3.14. It's also constant. So all these 4 numbers are constant. And that's the reason why they told that radius is also constant. Angular momentum, they founded it, you know it in the physics as a vector, you calculated it. It's all founded in every case has to be same. So they gave out that the angular momentum of an electron is constant. Now, because the angular momentum is constant, radius is fixed. So they wanted to calculate what is the radius of that atom. So to calculate that factor, the radius of an atom, they took it as a formula. Bohr gave out the formula. The formula was given out. Radius, that is r is equals to, they gave out the formula as n square into a naught, where again a naught was constant, and that was taken it as an 52.9 picometer. So that means it depends on integral number n 1, 2, 3. That means it will be the orbit in which that electron is present. Right? Sorry, it was in some disturbance. That will be given out as integral number n equals to 1, 2, 3 up to any infinite. But we know it that this is possible only for single electron containing, because the whole theory that was developed, that was being only true or has some limitations sorry, which we will come across. The limitation at that time we will study that the value of n, that will be possible only for single electron containing atoms or ions. So possible single electron containing atoms or ions will be what? Hydrogen, n will be 1 because it's having first energy level. It's having only 1 electron in it. He, you will get it n equals to 2, that 1 or 2, or its Z will be 2, atomic number is 2, or Li plus 2. When we will take it, we will get it n equals to 1, 2 or 3, where z will be 3. So maximum we will be having it mostly this numbers. Okay, so using that, the radius of any atom can be obtained as n square into a0. N square will indicate the electron in the energy level, right? Okay, so because of this, he got it as next postulate. The next postulate was related to the energy. When the electron is in some energy level, we told that it may be in the first or second or third or fourth. What is that energy level? How to calculate that energy level? So his first postulate, that is energy E will be equals to RH 1 upon n square. Now here this is the proportionality constant which was given out as Rydberg's constant. E will be equals to RH 1 upon n square. That will be taken it as Rydberg constant. Its value is 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 in the terms of joules. So its value is 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18. That is Rydberg's constant. And we already know it. Again, it's an integral number. Now, once we got it as an energy, how much energy will be absorbed and emitted? How much absorption or emission of the energy would be taken place? So that was calculated as delta E, and that was given out as 1 RH 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square. How do we get this value? So to calculate that, we will be getting it as a formula. It's given out. Now how we get this formula? E initial, we will write it as RH 1 upon n1 square as an initial. We will write it as E final as RH 1 upon n2 square. We know it that if I want to find out the delta E, that will be E final minus E initial, that will be RH 1 upon n1 square minus RH 1 upon n2 square. RH is common, we will get it as has just an error. We will be having it as minus sign for it. So we will get it as minus minus, this minus, we will get it as RH 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square. So we got it as delta E, RH 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square, right? Okay, but again we already derived it in our previous lecture. Delta E, that is equals to h nu. So can I substitute it over here? H nu, that is equals to RH 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square, right? Okay, now taking this, h nu is equals to 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square. Nu is equals to 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 upon h 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon n2 square. H, we know it, it's a 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34. So substituting the value, we get it as 2.18 into 10 raised to minus 18 upon 6.626 into 10 raised to minus 34, 1 upon n1 square minus 1 upon N2 square, which is, we will be getting it as nu is equals to 3.29 into 10 raised to 15, 1 upon N1 square minus 1 upon N2 square. This particular equation is known as Reed's equation. This is known as Reed's equation, right? Which is used to calculate directly frequency. If I am having it as an N1 and N2 values, I will be getting it as an directly the frequency of that component. So we got it as an the equations for the Bohr theory, but it was again calculated. The limitation of this theory was, as already I told you, the limitation of this theory is it's applicable only and only to single electron containing atom. It's not applicable to any other components which are having more than one electrons. The second problem is it's unable to explain the spectrum of an atom. How did we got this spectrum of an atom? He was unable to explain it. We got it as in lines. That was been not explained by him. The next postulate, he was having it as an, as already we saw it, that when we are allowing these lights to pass through some magnetic field, they deviated, right? That means they were having some magnetic effect on it, which is known as Siemens effect. The effect of a magnetic field onto the spectrum is known as Siemens effect, which was been not explained by the Bohr's theory. When we put it as the same as an electrical field, and when this light was allowed to pass through it, it was deviated in other direction. This was also not been explained by him. So that when an electric field is applied and the deviation takes place, then that effect which is produced on it is known as Stark effect. The effect of an electric field on the radiations is known as Stark effect. When you are having it as a magnetic field, it is known as Siemens effect, which has not been explained by the Bohr's theory. So because of all these things, he could not explain even why this bond formation of the hydrogen took place, or for the any other atoms that are taking place, though the electrons are of same charge. So that made its limitation. So from the limitation, we got it as an idea that this theory was applicable for single electron containing atom, right? Single electron containing atoms or ions, we will be having only 3 of them. Only 3 of them. So these theories, whatever we studied it, it's applicable only for 3. Hydrogen atom, helium ion, that is He plus, or lithium ion, that is Li plus 2. So that was the limitation of this theory. To overcome that limitation, some other scientists also worked on it. But we will discuss about the work of the other scientists for the structure of atom in our another lecture. Thank you.